Hey guys! Today in this video we are going to be continuing on decluttering my makeup. As you can see, or maybe not, I don't know if the lighting's good, but we're just gonna roll with it. We are doing bronzers today, so we're just going to be going through all the bronzers that I have. I'm just not going through ones that are in face palettes, so I'm just doing standalone bronzers. But the face palette video will be coming soon. Why don't we get straight into it? So I have two cream bronzers, and one of them is the Fenty multi-stick in Suede, which is what you're seeing right now. Now I must say I'm not big into cream products, even though I have dry skin, which is, I mean, people with dry skin more times than not like cream better than powder, but for me I feel powder is easier, and I also feel like it just tends to look better. It's easy to work with and things like that. And I did play with it some, and hopefully you can tell by looking at it that it's a warm bronzer. So it would be better for people with deeper skin or warmer undertones, but I just find on me, it doesn't look terrible. I don't think it's a particularly bad product. It blends out nice and everything like that. I just don't think it's a good color match for me. This is the Hoola Quickie Contour Stick, and I believe they only have one color. And it's supposed to be a cream version of their powder Hoola bronzer, which I have in the pile behind me as well. This is actually a bronzer that I will be keeping even though it is cream. I actually really do like the color. The pigmentation is not too much, so it's not, you know, it's easy to work with pretty much because you can't overdo it really easily. I don't know if you can tell, but it's a lot less warm than the Fenty one was. So because it's so blendable and easy to work with, I will be keeping this. But yeah, I really do enjoy this, and I would recommend. This is the Benefit Hoola bronzer, the original. I have had this in last year's Project Pan, but I've also had it a very long time. I think this was the first bronzer I ever bought. There was a lot of hype surrounding it, and I just want to try it out. And for some reason, I just cannot get this bronzer to work for me. I don't know if the lighter version would be a better option for me. I haven't tried that one. It doesn't work for me, and because I've had it so long, the quality isn't as good as when I first bought it anyway. So, I don't know, I'll pass this one along to someone in my life if they want it. But other than that, I will be getting rid of this particular bronzer. For whatever reason, I can't get it to work for me. Moving on to a newer bronzer in my collection. This actually just came out in the spring of this year. This bronzer is the L'Oreal Trumatch Lumi bronzer. And this is the lightest version in 01 Light. I really like this bronzer. This is more of a cooler toned powder, and I don't have many of those in my collection for the reason of I don't contour per se. I have prominent cheekbones as it is, and I don't like to make myself look too sickly with a lot of contour, but I do really love this. It's light, like it says. And when you open it and use it, I'll say it's a very buildable bronzer because it's very hard to go overboard with this. And I think that's why I like it so much, is I can dip my brush in there, swirl it around, get product, but it's not gonna over bronze my face too quickly. So I think this is a good bronzer for people starting out as well, who aren't really used to using bronzer, or if you like cooler contouring kind of bronzers. In my opinion, this is a really, really good product from the drugstore. And I think it was about $9 or $10. I could be wrong, but I really do like this bronzer, and I will be keeping this one. Right here is one of my absolute favorite bronzers. This is the Becca bronzer in Capri Coast, and I believe it is the second lightest shade. This is absolutely worth every penny I spent on it. It's a fantastic bronzer. It bronzes up the skin, gives warmth, and it's not matte, and I wouldn't call it like glittery or whatever, but I would call it more of a satin finish because it has this type of glowiness to it. It's not like a highlighter or anything, but it just gives like a natural bronze to the skin, and I feel like it's really really beautiful, and it's more pigmented than the L'Oreal Trumatch one, so you need less product, but it's easy to blend and it doesn't look orange, but it gives warmth just like the sun would, and I absolutely love it. It is worth the money, I'm telling you right now, so I'm keeping this one. This is a bronzer I got in a BoxyCharm, and I think I've seen this brand at TJ Maxx. It's called Beaute Basics, and it's the Bronze Essentials. I don't know. I gave this a couple tries, but it's just not working for me. And I don't know if there's different shades of this or not. I don't really know a lot about the brand. You can see that it has different colors, you know, mixed together, and when you swirl it, it should make a different color. But I just don't find it looks good on me. It's kind of patchy, and also, I don't know if it's the colors that are in here or what, but they just don't look good on my skin tone, and yeah, I'm getting rid of this one. This is by e.l.f. and it's not technically a face palette, but it does have a blush in it as well. It has a bronzer, and a lot of people compare this to the Laguna and Orgasm blush duo, which I do have, but that will be in my blush declutter, not my bronzer declutter. I thought I would split them up. So it just comes in the standard e.l.f. packaging, and this is in the color St. Lucia, I believe. Yeah, I guess you can see that it is kind of similar to Orgasm and Laguna from NARS. I find the bronzer is a very pigmented, but also very patchy, and it's just very hard to work with in my opinion. And I don't know, a lot of the times when I go to face duos like this, I want to put it on and go. You know, I don't want to sit around and, you know, try and blend and try to make it work and things like that. And the blush in here is just not anything special, and I don't find myself reaching for it anymore, so I think I'm going to pass this one along as well. Right here I have a pure bronzer, and I believe I got this in a BoxyCharm as well, and this is called Mineral Glow. I think they get the glow part because it has flecks of glitter in it. And I'm not saying that flecks of glitter makes the product bad, but I just find that the way it blends out, the way it looks on the skin, it just looks way too shiny for me. And it's not like the Becca one, where the Becca one was satin finish. This is definitely more glittery. And I don't know if you can tell by looking in the pan, but it's just more glittery, and it's a little bit more orange than I would like. So I'm glad I got to try it, but this just didn't work for me. Really did like the bronzer that they haven't had in the big brown packaging. I've talked before on our channel about it. That one is a fantastic bronzer, but this one I just didn't find work for me. Here's a newer bronzer by Anastasia that just came out, I believe a couple months ago, and I got it in, I think it was the lightest shade that they had. Either that or it's the second lightest, and it's called Rosewood. And it is just a beautiful pigmented bronzer. Now, I will say, because it is so pigmented, you definitely need to have a very light hand when using it. And I mean light, like tap it in and then, you know, dust off the excess. It's a beautiful, beautiful color, but it is more harder to work with in my opinion. I thought it was going to be a little bit more like Capri Coast from Becca, and the not the undertone, but just the tone in general is the same. This is a bit more matte though. So if you're looking for a bit more of a matte powder, I would go with this and not Capri Coast. I don't like this one as much as Capri Coast from Becca, but I do like it. I do think it's a good bronzer, but it just takes a little bit more finessing than that one does. And this is a bit dark for me, so because it's summer, I think it's perfect, but in the winter, I don't know that I'll be able to use it, but I will be keeping this one. This is a little mini guy from Sephora. It's by Hourglass. They call it their Ambient Lighting Bronzer, and this specific one is Diffused Bronze Light. Now this one, I didn't know if I would like it or not. That's why I got the mini. It looks a lot more pigmented on the face than it does like in the pan, so don't let that fool you. So you can see in the pan that it's marbled. It is mixed up because I have used it, and you might think that it will be really glowy, and I don't find that it is. I find that it's more of a more cool tone than warm toned, I would say. And again, it's not my favorite, but I do find myself reaching for it sometimes, and sometimes I have to use a light hand and other times I don't. It's very weird. It's a very weird product to me, but I will be keeping it. I do think it is an okay bronzer. Would I recommend you buy the full size? Probably not, but if you wanted to try out Ambient Lighting Bronzer from Hourglass, I would go for the minis. This is a Physicians Formula Booster Bronzer in the color light to medium. Now, if you want a very intense bronzer, this is the one that you're going to want to go for. It's also at the drugstore, so it is relatively less money than, say, Anastasia or Hourglass or things like that. For me, I just don't use it. I really just don't choose it out of all the other bronzers I like. And I don't know if there's a specific reason why I don't choose it, or if there is. Maybe it's the fact that it's very warm, or maybe it's just too pigmented for me. And there was an orange overspray on it, but I have since used that top layer, so it could have been that, but I don't really think it was, just because I've used it recently and I didn't really enjoy it. So yeah, I'll be decluttering this one, just because I don't choose it out of my collection. This is right up there with my favorite bronzers that I've ever used, and it's the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer in Light Bronzer. Now, I've heard people say that this tends to be orange on them, even though it is light, but on my particular skin tone, I really don't find that that happens when I wear it, so that's good. It is a little bit more warm toned, I will say that. As you can see, it isn't quite orange exactly. It just, I think, has a little bit more warmth than some people's skin tone can handle, but I find that it works really good for me. If you find this is a little orange on your skin, I would go up to the regular bronzer shade. A lot of people, even with fair skin tones, use that as well. So if you do want to try this product and this particular color didn't work for you, that's what I'd suggest. But trying to find a color that you can to match with your skin tone in this particular formula, I think is worth it. This bronzer does have a scent. It is heavily scented, kind of like coconut, I would say, kind of like tropical coconutty. So if you're very sensitive to smells, I would probably stay away from this one. But in my collection, I definitely love it and I use it all the time. Then the final bronzer is this one from Thrive. It is called their Sun Chaser bronzer, and it is in the color Rhea. I don't know if this is the only color they have. I think they might have one shade deeper. I really love the packaging on this bronzer as well. This bronzer is lighter than a lot of bronzers that I just went through. For some reason, it's not looking like that in the camera, but it definitely is in person. It's more of a buildable bronzer. It's harder to go over the top with this bronzer, and that's why I love it so much. It does kick up a little bit of powder, but I don't find that it's too powdery to where it's too pigmented or anything of that nature. I really love this bronzer. So if you have the chance to try this bronzer out by Thrive, I would definitely recommend it. And I will be keeping this one as well. So out of all the bronzers I had, these are the ones I am getting rid of. I think I did pretty good and I'm very proud of myself, and I will be happy for the room in my vanity now that these are going to other homes. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you want to see more declutter videos and other fun things that we do on this channel, and turn on your post notifications so you are notified every time that we do so. Talk to you later. Bye.